Hi, my name is Anna, and I thought it was about time I made a video again because it's been ages. And I actually wanted to do some sort of wrap up about the books I read in September, but as I only read 2 books in that entire month, one of which I did a full-length review on, I decided I would combine it with a book haul. So this is all the books that had something to do with my month of September. So first I will start off with the books I actually read. So the first one I finished was The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. And I did a full-length review on it, so I'll link that down below. Basically, I was not sure how I felt about it. In some sense it was really good, in another sense it was really bad and really boring. It also felt a bit weird. The perspective of the narrator was also a bit strange, so initially I gave it 3 stars, but now it has been over a month and it just hasn't stayed with me at all, so I think that's it. It's probably 2.5 stars, maybe a 2 star. It also had some really nice quotes, so I'll just stick with a 3 star, I think. This is basically about 5 sisters who commit suicide and about a group of boys who are obsessed with these girls, so they want to not so much figure out why they committed suicide, but just figure out everything about them, and which was quite disappointing because I had hoped it would focus on mental health. And it didn't at all, so that was that. Then I read a book for school, Aristotle's Poetics, and this is really nice. I really enjoyed it. It's basically Aristotle talking about what is poetry, what's tragedy, etc., etc. Basically what should good literature consist of, even though not exactly in those words. And because it is so old, it's actually incredible how accurate it still is. This edition in particular is really good, especially if you're into detective stories and this sounds good to you, because in the back there is an essay, or basically a lecture, Aristotle on detective fiction by Dorothy L. Sayers, and that's basically her talking about what Aristotle would have thought of detective fiction, like Sherlock Holmes, for instance. And it's really nice. It's basically, she compares it to his standards that he set up, and it's really cool. There are also some other essays in this and a really interesting introduction. So if you're going to study this or read this or whatever, if you're interested in this and you want to pick this up, pick this copy. You're doing yourself a disadvantage if you don't. So those were the books I read. I think I'll just get into the books that I bought as well, because I bought quite a lot. Those are in no particular order because I have no idea when I bought what. So the first one I have here is Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness. I had to pick this up for school, so I decided that I'd buy it because we have these really big anthologies and they have this one, but I just like to have my own copy, especially since I'd been wanting to pick this up, as I liked the cover so much, but every time it was just, oh, I don't really know a lot about this book, so I'm just going to pick this up based on the cover. But every time in the store I was almost buying this, and then it was on my reading list, so it was quite an easy decision. However, I read this. Basically, it's about Marlowe, who is a seaman in the late 19th century. And he travels to Congo. So it's about a white man going to Africa in the 19th century. So naturally it's really racist. And that was quite a disappointment. Well, not necessarily disappointment, because I knew it would be racist. But it was quite a negative aspect of the book. However, the writing was so great that if it had been any better, it would have been a book written by Orwell. It's basically a really mysterious book, really obscure, but actually the whole dark themes and the dark atmosphere comes from him being afraid of the native African people, so that's a bit awful. If you don't mind reading about those kinds of things, I would pick it up. It's just that you have to be aware of this. I gave this 4 stars in the end because I really loved the writing, and the writing is basically what makes a book for me. However, the racism, it's, on the other hand, it is an attack on imperialism, even though for for the bad reasons I find, because basically the message of this book partly is that, oh, it's so dangerous to go there, that imperialism is really bad. And, well, I would prefer a message like, oh, you shouldn't do that to people. So the next one I picked up, I haven't read yet, but basically there's this really cheap store where everything is kind of a discount, and, well, they're all brand new, but there are books which just were leftovers from other stalls, I feel. I'm not sure. But then this one suddenly appeared, and it's Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. And it's brand new. It's the nice edition that's usually like €16, and this one was €6. And I'm so excited to read this. It's one of those nice modern classics. It's a haunted house story. I just really wanted to read some Shirley Jackson. So that one was that. And then I picked up, at another trip to that store, 2 other books, which are I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, which is an early vampire zombie-esque story. It's basically post-apocalyptic about a man who is immune to some sort of virus as the only person on the earth. The rest gets infected and turns into those zombie vampire things, and he's the only man left on earth. And I think it's about how he deals with that. So I really want to read this. And the other one is Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Algernon, which is about a man with an IQ of 68, I believe, yes, 68, and he's a floor swiper at some research facility, I believe, and they're experimenting on mice there and trying to make those smarter, and it works. So he offers himself as the first human test subject, and it works, so you experience him getting smarter. And it's written entirely in progress reports, written by the main man from this book. So that's really exciting, because you experience his progress, and then he gets in some sort of, well, I kind of feel like I know how this will end, because I watched some reviews and they all didn't quite spoil it, but together they did. And, well, I'm just not sure what I can say without spoiling this book. But basically he becomes really existentially aware. That's the only thing I'm certain I can say. I've heard only good things about this book, so I'm really looking forward to it as well. Then I ordered 2 books, because I had to order a book for school. Actually, it was in the anthology again, but I wanted to read it in itself again. And I ordered another book because I was ordering anyway, and if you order above €20 you don't have to pay shipping, but that book hasn't arrived yet because something went wrong with the order. But it's, spoiler alert, it's Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. It's a really nice edition. But the book I have and have read is Tennessee Williams's A Streetcar Named Desire, which is a play from the 1940s, I believe. It's set in New Orleans. It's basically about a couple. The wife's sister suddenly appears. She is some sort of fading Southern belle, so she has to deal with the fact that she can't hide between that image anymore, because for one, she's getting older, for two, she's needed to leave her parental house. She isn't this rich person anymore, and it's basically about her descent into madness, effectively. It's really good. I would really recommend it. I rated this 3 stars, but maybe it deserves 4. I initially rated it 4 and then changed it to 3, but I'm not sure. It's really good. We bought Foucault's Discipline and Punish, my friend and I, because we wanted to read some work of philosophy together. And we were just planning on reading Derrida, and then we went to the store and we found this one, and we were like, we can read this one instead, it's easier and it will get us into the rhythm, hopefully. We haven't started yet. I mean, we're probably going to this weekend, but we say it every week, so hopefully it will actually happen. I started it already, but it's really interesting, really quite easy to get through. It's about, it's about torture in the beginning, at least. And it discusses the progress and how punishment has developed throughout the ages. And eventually it will go into discipline in the sense of the panopticon, so you are always possibly being watched. That's the way that all the structures work that control you. So it's really interesting. This was a really vague description, but it's been a while. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to getting through this one because it's so interesting and I've really wanted to read this one in its entirety for ages. But this one will take a bit longer because we're reading chapter by chapter and we're both really busy. So yeah. The last one, I was going home and in front of my house, in front of my door, is basically this bookshelf with give and take your books and exchange. And usually the books are shit there. It's if you're lucky, it's like Shopaholic or something, but usually it's either the Dutch equivalent of those kinds of books, and I really hate Dutch books, I really hate those kinds of books, so that doesn't really work. Or sometimes it's just like, I remember a Greek book being there for months, which is really strange because I'm not Greek, nobody here is Greek, well apparently someone is, but still. But then, one day, I saw some new books that appeared there. And one of them was Things Fall Apart, a book which we have to read for school. So I just picked it up and I was like, oh, does anyone need that one? But on top of that one was Rhys's White Sargasso Sea, which is basically the story of the first wife of Mr. Rochester, who has some mental illness or something, because it's bad mental illness. And it's in the Jane Eyre-ish setting. So I'm really excited about this because at the time I was still trying to get through Jane Eyre. Currently I don't think I am anymore because it's just a book which needs some time and I just didn't have the time to get through it, so I'm still stuck at page 30 even though I was really enjoying it. However, I'll read this one at some point after I finish Jane Eyre. But I think I will really love this one. So it's basically about her entire life, and she grew up in Jamaica, I believe, the main character of this one. So that's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to it a lot, because I've also heard really good things about Rhys. I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll upload this soon and be back with another video. Bye!